Alright, welcome back, y'all. This is part 3 of this episode of Daily Dose of Game and Knowledge by your boy Uncle Big D. This episode is called This Society and the Social Engineering of It and Where's the Love At? Okay, so when I left off in part 2, I was explaining to you about the different races, and in my extensive research throughout the years and paying close attention and studying this stuff, you know, what I figured out is that the different races of people, okay, are all on different frequencies. All right, they all come from a point in time or something, a queen in a certain mix of another. They came together and they made two, and then they kept multiplying themselves, and that's where the race, a bloodline, comes from. That's why how all these races come with different blood types: O positive, O negative, Rh positive, Rh. You're this, you're that. Depending on what you mix with, or depending on your bloodline. So a lot of these things you have to take into consideration when you're paying attention to different species. And that's why different races have different traits. Oh, this person, these Chinese people do act like this, or this person act like this, or these Mexicans act like this. Everybody has their own traits of their specific because of what they, their bloodline. All right. And that's another show. That's not this show. We're not going to speak on that. I'm just bringing it up because it's going to come in if you understand some of these other things that I'm going to bring up and what we're talking about in this show. What I was left off in part 2 is what I was saying, that the white man is, I've paid attention, he is smart. Okay? He's on a frequency. When I mean the white man, I mean, some of the whitest of the white, the ones with the blue veins in their arms. You know what I mean? The ones you can see, them niggas, they be having information and smart, and they frequency, they be on some level. When you talk to them and you come across them and shit, they be on some shit that you like, yeah, how's this motherfucker? And then you got to understand why or how did they overcome all the other humans and end up being in a position of power over all the fucking other different races now. You know what I mean? They didn't trick their way and work their way up with a master plan. They had a whole, how do they do that shit? Why? Because they're not people. They're not humans like you and I or me. You know what I mean? They got different, they're not the same thing. They're on a different frequency. Maybe it's the sun. You know how they worship the black sun and the cube. The cube represents the ark. The black sun might be Saturn, maybe that's who that is living through them. That's why it's so smart than the average other motherfucker. And then you notice how they have this thing where it's kind of like it's the submental and artificial and man-made intelligence and suns and computers versus the original man and the pineal gland, the original sun frequencies. You see how it's like always, that's the war. That's why it's them and they're the white people and these other races and their main enemy who they hate. A lot of them born, they don't even know why they hate. They just hate black people or the frequency that we have, or the sun, the original sun. You know what I'm saying? Now they hate that, right? So you got to take these things into consideration and figure out what's going on. You got to remember one little note, like I was saying about the Mexico. It's not about how you think that I'm speaking it, because most motherfuckers just think they just on some simple-minded shit. Oh, he's racist. He just talks shit. But nigga, listen. All my shit comes from extensive research. You go check out who the Mexicans are today, what they come from, why is their frequency a certain way. The shit that I be talking about how the frequency. All right, when you get bombarded with them, how the frequency change. When you go to deal with different people from different parts of the world, the spirit and the soul and the frequency is different. Around here, since we've been bombarded and invaded with all the people from Mexico, now that 40% of the population here, the frequency has changed and it took a darker turn. It's not full of life like it used to be. All right? Just the energy and the frequency around this motherfucker. So I had to go do a study, and I figured out that the Germans came and took over Mexico in 1865. Right before that, 10 years before that, they had the siege of Veracruz, but supposedly the English came in. They came after the black Creole leaders and the president back then and shit like that, so they could take the presidents out, and then they take over the fucking land. After they won the Spanish. Remember, in 1829, they beat the Spanish. They got independence. Vicente Guerrero, which he was Creole, go Google this shit. And then they had some Creole nationalist movement in Mexico, right? Soon after they won independence from Spain, within 15, 20 years, here comes the English or whatever coming in trying to siege Veracruz to try to get the fucking Creoles out of power, right? Then after that, the Germans came and took over the whole shit. And then when they take it over, they invite all these people from Europe to come over here, you know what I'm saying? And let's just fucking thrash and take over this shit, you know what I mean? And mix all the white people from Germany, they came and mixed their seed in. They you know what I mean? They started having sex with all of them and controlling shit. And that's where the mariachi music, the accordion, all that shit came from Germany. Alright, we know. Now, what do we know about the Germans? They're fucking Nazis. They got this Reich shit, where Third Reich and Fourth Reich and all this shit, where if you ain't blonde hair, blue eyed, they consider you not a human, or you're inferior, right? So that's who Mexicans is today. Alright? Now, if you're a fucking motherfuckers claim that they was Indian and all that shit, then how come you can't speak one word of Indian, native Indian? One word. All they do is speak Spanish. Alright? European language influence came, and they don't have no indigenous nothing. I ain't seen one Mexican that has any indigenous American traits about them. They all into their made-up sub-mental Spanish shit. Salsa music, sombreros, all that shit is made up. That's new shit. That 200 years ago, that didn't even exist. There was no sombrero or no salsa music or no fucking... none of that shit. Right? So get with some real shit. The Germans came and influenced and controlled Mexico for the longest, and we all know that the Germans been cloning humans since 1935. As far as like some of the studies and some of the things that I've heard, and you got to go back to the Project Paperclip, to World War I. Go back to Montauk, Long Island, Plum Island, New York, New Mexico cloning labs, Mexico cloning labs. So we know that they've been cloning people for a long time, right? So and then, you know, Mexico, you know, again, we know Germany is Mexico. All the Volkswagens, even the first ones, go look at it. They say made in Mexico. Alright? Volkswagens manufactured in Mexico since the beginning. You go look at all these other Mercedes and all them used to be made in Mexico. BMWs. Okay? And all these things in Mexico. Germany is Mexico. We know that. What they did was come and mix their seed and hide behind our color or the Indian look. But the frequency of the people is clone. But they not the real. How come me looking like this? Because when I go to Mexico, they think I'm from there. Or when I was in Florida, they thought I was Latino. They thought I was from like Dominican Republic or Puerto Rican or something. Every time I go to the East Coast. So if I look like, but I'm Creole, same mix. You know what I mean? But if I look like this and I got this frequency that I'm on some real shit. How come this motherfuckers look like me in Mexico, or these Mexicans, and it's some motherfuckers that look like me and they Mexico, but they just way off like on some like zombie shit to be programmed, ready to be programmed. They only can follow a program and some fake shit because the niggas is clones. So now we've been bombed. 40% of this population in California and the Southwest United States is all from Mexico now. And that's why the frequency has changed with a bunch of clones and zombies. You know what I mean? Nobody has their own mind. They only can follow, be followers. And we got to take this into consideration when I'm talking about this social engineering. These people is good candidates for what they project they got going on about this hellish shit, this bullshit going on around this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? I done seen motherfuckers talking about they drink blood every day. This Mexican nigga down the street at this restaurant talking about this nigga drinks blood every day. Weird shit to me. Niggas don't drink. I don't drink blood, nigga. That's some weirdo shit. Why am I gonna drink? Why would I drink an animal's blood every day? It's fucking weirdo shit. Anyway, because that's vampirism, right? You have to take energy from another animal. Let's get back on subject, y'all. Okay. You can tell this was deliberately set up this way. When I told you they had a whole program. How did the white man, the European, have a whole fucking program now to take over the world the way they did? Smarter than all the other humans. Now, what I've heard is they got it from the Moors of Europe. And all the other, the Franks, and all these other motherfuckers all the way back to Byzantine, to Greece, organized in Rome, organized civilizations. We know that. That's why on the dime, you see the fascite on the back of the dime, American dime, which is a Roman symbol for fascists. All right? Even in Germany, they got these fascists, they on that kind of shit. But who founded Germany? The Moors, the blacks. Go look this shit up. The Holy Roman Empire and all these motherfuckers, the kings, the motherfuckers who social engineered colonization and laws and shit like that, they was all black people. Alright? In Germany, Bavaria, fucking Frankfurt, anywhere in Germany, they got monuments of black people who founded Germany. Alright? They know this. They got the crest. Go Google the family crest of Moors of Europe. They founded every kingdom in Europe. So, obviously they got all this knowledge and how to do this shit from them. And all these secret societies was founded by black people. I mean, as far as like the knowledge of how to do it. Except within the past 150 years, they switched it over into white supremacy. So they took the same principle, the knowledge of social, how to keep people in control and how to have your shit organized and set up. But they stole it and switched it over into their own personal, well, if you're not white, you know what I'm saying? And I believe that they had to deal with the aliens to do that. The aliens helped them keep them up where they at. They made some kind of deal with them. They got to do something about taking people's bodies. I heard it on YouTube. A white man said it. Don't get mad at me. It's a white man on YouTube that said this shit. I seen it 5 years ago. They might have took it off by now. But he said that the governments and shit had a deal with the aliens. And the deal was that they want y'all body, everybody, the citizens' bodies. Of course, what's the bodies? The body parts, the chakras, to make arcs out of. Alright? And to do vampirism with the bodies. That's why everybody's sacrificing all the other weird ass shit. Sacrifice the sheep and shit like that. We'll keep moving. How come everybody here, this is the only place, one of the only places that is so shallow, where every person is born and programmed to be shallow, have no heart, no emotion, no love these days? Because when I meet people from other countries, they seem to be more simple-hearted and real and full of just regular life. How it used to be when I was coming up younger, when I was amongst my peers and other kids too, and naturally we're real people until you get older, when you're programmed into that bullshit, chasing submental bullshit that they, in fantasies that you're trying to chase, and you go through all this bullshit trying to get that. That's why females get their heart broke when they everybody gets fucked up out here. Everybody got some kind of mental or emotional problem. Everybody out here. Why? Because they're not real people. They try to chase some sub-mental shit that they was sold a dream to, and then in that, they was just fucked with, and that's what the devils, and that's what they do. They want to try to dehumanize you. And the majority of the people don't feel their best out here. They always frowning and has no moral, and if they smiling, it's only a fake-ass smile. Your best friend will turn on you and sell you out for $10. And most people out here is looking for love in the wrong place. The people that do looking for love, they looking for it in the wrong place. And you have to find it within yourself first. All right, you can't find it from this external world. And young people, for young people, the little shit you do comes in little games you like to play and think you're getting away with shit. It catches back up and comes around. And that's why a lot of motherfuckers is bitter and fucked up. Right? You see motherfuckers who, when they had it good, when you're younger or at certain times you have it good, and then you see them start doing extra little shit, trying to do more and hating on motherfuckers or trying to set up somebody or playing games, or they try to break somebody's heart and they think it's cute, and then that shit ends up coming back around on their ass and they can't take it. Then they just get more bitter, and it just goes more and more to where they just end up, heartless, stone-hearted, fucked off people. And there's a lot of people out here like that. I ran through a few generations of motherfuckers. You'll see it when they vibrant, looking good, feeling good. They still have heart, mind, and they be young, like 18, 17, 16, 19, and by the time they turn 25, they fucked off. They ugly, fat, don't take care of themselves. See that? That might have been a sign. You see how it just fell down? That's crazy. Hold on, let me pause this and get it back going. Hold on a minute, y'all.